discovered. The incredible moment she changed the glass and saved a billionaire's life. Emily had never been one to believe in fate. But the moment she spilled that drink on Jack Harrison's crisp white shirt, everything changed. It was just another Tuesday at Ma's Diner, the local hub of Goodview, a small Midwestern town cloaked in the scent of bacon and coffee. With an easy smile and a heart full of dreams for her 7-year-old daughter, Lily, Emily moved gracefully through the booths, her hands deftly balancing plates of burgers and pancakes. That day, however, fate sat at a corner booth. Jack, a man cloaked in money and sadness, stared at the menu but saw nothing. As she placed the glass of iced tea on his table, in that moment of clumsiness, a cascade of liquid transformed his shirt into a soggy mess. Shocked, Emily's heart raced. "Oh no, I'm so sorry." Her cheeks burned. She quickly fumbled for napkins, trying to dab at the fabric as Jack's eyes widened in surprise. The chatter of the diner hushed as patrons paused to watch the scene. Oh, the gossip mill was already turning. Yet, the moment felt electric, full of possibility. In her haste, she promised to replace not just the drink, but also the shattered moment of awkwardness. As she dashed to the kitchen, the giggles and whispers behind her began to stoke a fire within her. Could this be a turning point in her monotonous life of serving tables? Days turned into weeks filled with small, tender moments of connection between Emily and Jack. He began to show up more often, nestled into his corner booth, sharing stories of his childhood. Emily couldn't help but feel drawn to his presence. The weight of his isolation mirrored the struggles she faced every day, trying to make ends meet as a single mother. "You're a fighter, aren't you?" Jack remarked one day, his voice low and earnest, and Emily felt a flicker of recognition. In her heart, she knew that tenacity, the American spirit, was what tied them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Emily cleaned up after her shift one evening, she caught Jack staring at a photo of her and Lily, tucked beneath a faded, "Live, Laugh, Love" sign. "You've got something special here," he said. "It reminds me of the things I've lost." Those words struck her squarely in the chest. Could his wealth be weighing him down, just as her poverty burdened her? And could the community, with all its quirks, rally behind an idea, a dream to bring hope back to Goodview? But as Jack contemplated investing in the diner, pressing the future of both their lives into his hands, doubts crept in. Would they truly overcome their pasts, his gilded cage of privilege, her sticky floor of struggle, just to create something beautiful, or would the weight of their respective changes drag them apart? With every regained smile, every spark of hope, the stakes climbed higher. Emily felt the pulse of something grander unfurling before them, a quest to ignite love and healing in their little town. And in that sanctuary of grease-stained tables and local gossip waited a story yet to unfold. Would they seize this moment, or let it slip away like so many turned pages in a forgotten book? Emily stood in the back of the diner, a deep breath filling her lungs as she wiped down the counter. The neon lights flickered, casting a glow that felt almost magical. But beneath the surface shimmer was the weight of reality. Jack's presence had changed so much, revealing her own dreams along with the fears she carried. She was beginning to wonder, was she ready to trust again? Jack's laughter floated from the corner booth, mingling with the smells of home-cooked food. In another life, he had been just another customer, but now he felt like something more. He was a mystery she wanted to solve, a puzzle with missing pieces. But what if he left her life as suddenly as he entered it? Janet, her best friend and co-worker, nudged her shoulder softly. "Your mind's wandering again. You okay?" "Just thinking about the diner," Emily replied, forcing a smile. But her heart thudded with uncertainty. "Jack's been talking about the future, how he wants to invest. It feels too easy." "Easy?" Janet raised an eyebrow. "You've turned it into a mess. He's a billionaire, for Pete's sake. This isn't just about the diner. It's about you and Lily, too." Emily looked toward Jack, who was animatedly explaining his vision for the diner, gesturing wildly. There was a fire in him, a spark that ignited something within her. "I know, but dreams like this come at a cost." "Every good thing does," Janet said, eyeing her friend. "Just think about what you want. Are you ready to take that leap?" Before Emily could respond, Jack caught her gaze, his eyes filled with warmth. He gestured for her to join him. The flutter of butterflies in her stomach intensified. She stepped away from the counter, her heart racing. "Hey, Emily," Jack began as she approached, his voice smooth, yet tinged with vulnerability. "I was thinking, what if we turned this place into something everyone could be proud of? Not just a diner, an experience. It could be the heart of Goodview." The thought struck a chord deep within her. Could they really create something special? The doubt whispered in her ear, but the hope was louder. "That sounds amazing, Jack, but—" She hesitated, collecting her thoughts. "What if it becomes too much? What if I can't keep up?" Jack leaned forward, his expression earnest. "We'll do it together, Emily. You could lead the creative side, and I'll handle the business. Let's collaborate. What do you say?" The offer hung in the air, heavy with potential. It felt ridiculously perfect, yet terrifying. She could sense the weight of her decision. What if, in trying to build something wonderful, she ended up losing herself all over again? "Let me think it over," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "Take your time. But I believe in this, in us," Jack replied, sincerity shining in his eyes. As Emily walked back to the counter, doubt crept in again. Could she really trust him? Was she ready to step beyond the walls she had built? The night wore on, filled with laughter, conversations, and sizzling food. But all the while, the question echoed in her mind. What happens if she dives in but finds herself drowning instead? That realization left her staring out at the vast highway beyond Goodview, where the future felt both promising and daunting. Tomorrow would bring a new chance, a new decision, and perhaps changing the course of her life once more. Could she really take that leap into the unknown? The next day dawned bright and clear, filtering sunlight through the diner's windows. Emily stood at the counter, brewing coffee while the scent of fresh cinnamon rolls wafted through the air. Everything felt vibrant, alive, yet a nagging uncertainty lurked at the back of her mind. She couldn't shake the conversation with Jack. Each time she replayed their exchange, it felt both electrifying and paralyzing. "What does it mean to take a leap?" she whispered to herself, pouring coffee into a small mug. "Good morning, Em," Janet chirped, breaking the spell. She slid onto a bar stool, her hair tied up in a messy bun. "You look like you've been up all night worrying about everything." Emily chuckled softly, covering the truth with a smile. "Just thinking, about this whole restaurant overhaul. It could change everything. I mean, is that a bad thing?" Janet leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "You've dreamt of this for so long. It could be your moment to shine, and Jack is obviously crazy about you." "Or about the diner," Emily countered quietly. The weight of her caution pressed down hard. She wanted to trust, but was terrified of the risk involved. Would Jack leave when things got tough? Or worse, what if she revealed too much of herself and he didn't want any part of it? Just as the doorbell jangled, her thoughts swirled. She turned to find Jack striding in, a confident aura surrounding him. He wore that easy smile, the one that made her heart flutter against her will. "Morning, ladies," Jack greeted, popping his head over the counter. "I hope you're ready for a busy day, because I've got some exciting ideas to bounce around." Emily's pulse quickened. "What do you have in mind?" "I was thinking we could implement a special menu for the weekend, a tasting event. I know some great local chefs who'd love to collaborate. Think themed nights with music and community engagement." His enthusiasm was infectious, lighting a fire in her gut. "That sounds incredible," Emily said, her doubts momentarily pushed aside. "But," Jack continued, his eyes narrowing slightly as he took a moment to gauge her reaction, "I know we need to be mindful of the workload. It's huge, and I want you feeling comfortable." "Comfortable," she echoed, the word rolling off her tongue like a strange concept. She wanted to marinate in that comfort, but was paralyzed by shadows that loomed from her past. "It's a big step, Jack. I'm still grappling with trusting that this isn't just a fleeting idea." "Look, I won't rush you," he said gently, reaching across the counter. "But I see something special here, Emily. In you. In this diner. Trust takes time. I get it. But don't shut that door before it opens. You could change everything." She swallowed hard, feeling the urge to lean into his promise, but held back by apprehensions. What if being vulnerable broke her apart? Just then, the diner filled with the warm chatter of customers arriving, but it felt like a storm swirling inside her. Excitement mixed with fear. "Think about it," Jack added, planting the seed deep within her. "I'm here to support you. This isn't just about the diner becoming a hotspot. It's about creating a community, a pathway where people can come together, including us." As he walked away to greet the new customers, her heart raced. Could she nurture something real? Or was she destined to watch it crumble? For the rest of the day, Emily fought her racing thoughts, hoping clarity would come. But it kept slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. Just as she was beginning to settle into the mundane routine, a bell chimed loudly, and a figure emerged at the door, one she hadn't expected to see. As the door swung open, Emily's breath caught in her throat. It was someone from her past, a ghost she hoped never to face again. What did this mean for her future? Would she find the strength to confront it? Or would her hesitation push her deeper into doubt? Emily's heart raced, pounding like a drum in her chest as she forced her eyes to focus on the figure standing in the doorway. Shadows danced around him, and all the air seemed to be sucked from the diner. The world faded as memories, both sweet and bitter, flared back to life. The past she had tried so hard to bury was now staring her in the face. "Liam," she breathed, disbelief coursing through her like ice water. Her childhood friend, the one who had disappeared so suddenly, was back. His disheveled hair and worn jeans contrasted sharply with the well-tailored suits of the city he had left behind. Time had passed, but somehow he still held that same charm, the spark that had drawn everyone in, especially her. "Emily," he said softly, his voice almost breaking through the din of the diner. He glanced around the room, gauging the reactions of the patrons. A few looked up, intrigued by the interruption, but most returned to their food, oblivious to the gravity of the moment. "What are you doing here?" The words slipped out of her mouth before she could stop them. They came out sharp, tinged with confusion, and, if she were to be honest with herself, a hint of hurt. I heard about the diner," Liam replied, taking a cautious step forward. "I wanted to see how you were doing. I didn't know if you'd want to..." "Want to what?" she snapped, her pulse racing. "Pretend like you didn't just vanish from my life without a word? Just like that?" His expression turned serious. "I never meant to hurt you, Em. Things just got complicated and She shook her head, cutting him off. "Complicated? You left. No explanation. No goodbye." The warmth from the coffee pot she was still holding felt heavy in her hands, like the weight of their shared memories. "What do you even want now?" Liam's eyes fell to the floor, shame flickering across his face. "I want to explain, if you'll let me. I made mistakes, but I had to come back. I need to face what I left behind." "Why now? After all this time?" Emily felt an anger rising like bile in her throat. She wanted to scream at him, to unleash years of pent-up feelings, but something deep inside her hesitated. "Because of you, Emile. Because you inspired me. You always have." He took another tentative step forward, his hands raised as if trying to reach for her, trying to bridge the distance of years. "I'm trying to turn my life around. I've changed." For a split second, the old familiarity wrapped around her, cozy, yet terrifying. She remembered the days of laughter, the secrets shared over milkshakes. But was that enough to forgive? The wounds, still fresh to her, were begging for acknowledgement. "What does this mean for us? Do you think you can just walk back in?" Emily's voice quivered, both in anger and the raw vulnerability that stirred beneath. "I don't know," he admitted, his tone somber. "But I want to be here, and maybe it's time we both faced what happened." The bell at the door jingled again, bringing Emily back to the crowded diner. Fresh customers poured in, cutting through the tension momentarily, reclaiming her attention. She needed to think, to breathe. Could she really face this relic of her past? A past that had shaped her, yet also held her hostage? "Emily!" Jack's voice called from the other side of the counter, breaking through the haze. "Do you want help with those orders?" Emily turned to look at Jack, his brows furrowed in concern. She met his bright, supportive gaze, and in that moment, she realized there were choices to be made. Between familiar pain and potential healing, the past and a future uncertain, yet full of promise. The tension in the air was palpable, a tightrope she had to choose to walk. One glance at Liam told her he was still the charming, reckless boy she once knew, but now, an anxious man sought redemption. Would she give him a chance to explain? Or was this her moment to step forward and finally let go? And what would Jack think? Where did he fit into this unexpected resurgence of her history? The questions loomed heavy, each one a bridge waiting to be crossed. With her heart racing and uncertainty swirling around her like the steam from the coffee, she stood frozen between two worlds. What was she willing to risk to find out? Emily felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. It was like trying to breathe underwater. Everything around her was muffled and distant. Liam stood only a few feet away, his eyes searching hers, pleading for an opening. She could feel memories rushing back, a flood of laughter and tears. He said again, his voice a gravelly whisper. "I get it. I messed up. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I need you to know. I never forgot you." "You think that's enough?" The words slipped out sharper than she intended, but the hurt was too raw to hold back. "You disappeared without a word, and now you want to pop back into my life? Like nothing happened?" "It's not like that at all," he insisted, taking another step closer. "I came back because I wanted to make things right. Because I need you to know the truth." Confusion flooded her. "The truth? What truth? That you left me behind while you built a life without me? You don't get to waltz in and tell me you changed when I was left here, stuck, waiting for answers." Liam swallowed hard, his struggle evident. "I didn't want you to wait. I thought it'd be easier. You deserved better than what I had to offer back then. I thought I was doing the right thing." His voice quivered, dripping with regret. Emily crossed her arms, trying to protect her heart, but a small part of her wanted to step closer, to feel that old spark ignite again. Jack's voice broke through her thoughts once more as he approached, tray in hand. "Hey, is everything okay?" he asked, concern lacing his tone. His eyes darted between Emily and Liam, sensing the tension. "Yeah, just catching up." Emily replied, trying to keep her facade sturdy. Looks more like a heavyweight match to me, Jack said, a lightness in his eyes betraying his worry. He looked at Liam, then back at Emily. You good? Need me to step in? No, she shot back, her voice harsher than she'd intended. Forcing a smile, she took a breath. Liam and we just have some things to figure out. Jack's brow furrowed, clearly unconvinced. All right, but just know I'm here. Always. As he walked away, Emily felt the weight of his words settle in her chest. It reminded her that Jack was another piece of her life, a steady presence who anchored her through the storm. Can we talk somewhere private? Liam asked quietly, his eyes pleading. I don't know if that's a good idea, she replied, glancing around the crowded diner. The familiar hum of conversation felt foreign now. Please, Liam pressed, his voice laced with urgency. I promise I'll explain everything. Just give me a chance to show you I'm not the same person I was. Emily weighed his words carefully. Could they really bridge this chasm of time and hurt? Fine, she conceded, her mind racing. But only for a minute. She led him to the small break room at the back of the diner, the air thick with tension. The chatter of customers faded into the background as the door clicked shut behind her. Liam ran a hand through his hair, anxiety evident in every movement. I had to come back. I thought of you every day. The life I built, it was a facade. I was chasing success but losing sight of what mattered. He paused, searching her eyes. You mattered. Emily wasn't ready to let herself believe him. That's easy to say now, Liam. What if I can't trust you? What if this is all just talk? Then prove it. Let me show you. His expression softened, genuine desperation shining through. I've never wanted anything more than to make up for my mistakes. Her heart thumped loudly against her chest. Could she do it? Could she let him in again? She felt the ground shift beneath her, the delicate balance of risk and safety. Jack was good for her, but Liam held a piece of her heart she didn't know if she was ready to awaken. Just then, the door opened, and one of the waitresses peeked in, interrupting the moment. Hey, Emily, everything okay? The customers are asking. Yeah, just a minute, Emily called out, turning back to Liam, who looked set to fade back into the shadows. Is this the moment? He asked, a mix of hope and fear in his gaze. Maybe, she said quietly, still wrestling with her decision. The diner buzzed outside, but inside her, silence reigned, waiting for a choice that could change everything. Would she risk everything to discover the truth? Or was it safer to keep the past buried, where it belonged? The seconds stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Emily could feel the walls closing in, as if the small break room were shrinking, trapping them together in this tornado of feelings. The waitress's voice receded, leaving only the tense rhythm of their breathing. Liam took a tentative step forward. I didn't just leave you behind, Em. I was running from myself. The fear of not being enough. It chased me. I thought maybe if I achieved some things, I could come back and matter again. Emily's heart ached at his confession. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, but the years of silence loomed larger than their past laughter. And did you? Did you find what you were looking for? He hesitated, eyes falling to the floor. I thought I would. But the truth is, it was all hollow without you. I realized too late that success isn't anything if you don't have the people you love by your side. Emily's breath caught in her throat at the weight of his words. So you just expect me to forget? We can just pretend it didn't hurt? No, he exclaimed, a spark of desperation igniting in his voice. I'm here to take responsibility. I messed up, yes, but running away didn't erase what I felt. I didn't just leave you. I left behind a piece of myself, The honesty of his admission stung like an open wound. A part of her wanted to reach out and bridge the years of separation, while another part clung desperately to the hurt. "Trust goes both ways," she said softly, the fight leaving her tense shoulders. "If we're going to start again, there can't be any more secrets." Liam nodded, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed hard. "I promise, no more secrets. There's something I've been holding back." Before he could finish, there was a knock at the door, followed by Jack's familiar voice. "Emily, you coming back? Customers are growing restless." The interruption made Emily feel an odd rush of warmth for Jack, grounding her amidst the turmoil. She glanced at Liam. His frustration flickered across his face, quickly replaced by a mask of composure. "I'm sorry." "No, I am," she replied, quickly composing herself. It's a lot." She opened the door slightly, letting the chatter of the diner spill back in. "I just need a minute, Jack." "Okay, but you're really cutting it close. We need to keep the flow moving," he said, eyes darting toward Liam, then back to her. "You sure you're good?" "Yeah," she lied, but couldn't hide the tremor in her voice. Jack nodded, but Emily could still sense his unease as he walked away. She shut the door again, inhaling deeply. "This isn't how I imagined us," she said to Liam. "I thought I would be so much more stable. Now, it feels like I'm teetering on the edge." His eyes softened. "Then let me steady you. We can figure this out together. I want to make it right, if you'll let me." She felt the desire to believe him wash over her like a gentle wave, but the spoken words were still haunting her thoughts. "If I let you back in, you have to promise you'll be here for good this time." "Forever, I swear," he said, earnestness painted across every feature. Emily felt the ground shift once again beneath her. A flicker of hope ignited in her chest, yet danger loomed. She could feel the past and the future collide. "Okay," she breathed, surprised by her own willingness to take the leap. "Let's see where this goes. But if you fail me again, I won't," he interjected. "You have my word." Just then, the diner door swung open, and a sudden ruckus erupted, the bell chiming dramatically. People began to gather, and Emily could hear a distant shout, barely registering. "What's going on?" Liam asked, turning toward the door. As a commotion escalated in the diner, her heart raced. Something was wrong. Then she saw him, the man whose name she once whispered in secret prayers. The chaos deepened as he staggered, pale and seemingly lost among the crowd. "Oh my God," she murmured, dread sinking like a stone in her stomach. "Emily?" Liam asked, confusion swirling in his gaze. This was the moment of truth, and everything could change forever. Would she step up for someone from her past, or walk away? The crowd swelled, voices overlapping in a chaotic symphony of concern and confusion. Emily felt a surge of panic rise within her as her eyes locked onto the disoriented figure. It couldn't be, but the familiar silhouette, the tousled dark hair, the deep-set eyes, pulled her back, like gravity drawing her toward a sunken ship. "Is that—" Liam's voice trailed off, but Emily didn't need him to finish. Her heart raced, a wild thump against her ribcage. It was Jake, her childhood friend, the one she had lost in the aftermath of that fateful night. The laughter they once shared felt like echoes in a forgotten dream. "Stay here," she whispered to Liam. His face twisted with worry. I don't think—" "I have to see him," she insisted, pushing through the throng of diners that had encircled Jake. She felt each shoulder brush against her as she forced her way toward the commotion. "Jake!" she called out, her voice cutting through the din. He turned, his eyes clouded with confusion and pain. He looked like a ghost, pale and shaky, desperately searching for something, or someone, in that sea of faces. Emily? He croaked, disbelief lacing his voice. The world around them faded as she reached him, the rest of the diner a blur of muted colors and worried expressions. Her heart swelled, filled with simultaneous relief and dread. "What happened?" she asked, taking a step closer. She noticed the blood streaming down his arm, a stark contrast against his white shirt. Adrenaline coursed through her, sharpening her focus. I fell. Just tripped, and things went foul," he stammered, disoriented. The pulse in his veins throbbed visibly against his skin. Couldn't keep it together. Fearing she might lose him again, Emily instinctively slipped her arm around his waist, supporting him. He leaned heavily against her, seemingly oblivious to the pain. She could feel Liam's presence hovering behind her, a quiet strength that now seemed almost distant. "Someone call an ambulance," she shouted, her voice urgent. A few of the bystanders pulled out their phones, as panic shifted from Jake to what needed to be done. "Why are you here?" he murmured, more to himself than to her. Shock twisted his features. "The last time, you were gone." "Not now, Jake," she said firmly, stifling the flood of emotions that threatened to spill over. "We need to get you help." Liam stepped closer, his concern palpable. "What can I do?" "Help steady him," Emily ordered, feeling a sense of command wrapping around her like a protective cloak. "I'll manage his arm." As they worked together, the familiar bond of teamwork caught her off guard. Moments like this used to be common when they were younger, before everything fell apart. I'm sorry," Jake breathed, the color retreating from his cheeks. "I didn't mean to come back like this." "I don't care how you came back," she replied, her voice strong despite the tremor in her heart. "Just stay with me." The clinic sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder until they swamped the air, banishing worry and uncertainty around them. Emily felt the cold fear begin to thaw as the paramedics rushed in. Liam stood to the side, his face shadowed by a frown. He glanced between her and Jake, the tension underlying the shift in their relationship crackling like static. "What's happening, Em? Are you sure you want to deal with this?" he asked quietly. In that moment, everything felt poised at a crucial edge. She had opened the door to Liam's past, only for it to be threatened by another from hers. "I don't know," she admitted, torn between the presence of someone she thought she had lost forever and the fragile hope she had begun building with Liam. What path would she choose as the sirens blared? Just then, Jake fell against her, eyes fluttering closed as the paramedics arrived, their attention focused on assessing his condition. Emily gasped, her heart plunging as she wondered if this was déjà vu, or a second chance to save someone she had once loved. Was this moment going to turn into a rescue, or would she lose another piece of her past? The paramedics moved with practiced efficiency, but for Emily, every second stretched unnaturally. Jake's face was so pale, she thought the color had drained completely from him. She held him tighter, feeling the weight of his body leaning against her, but his breathing was shallow and uneven. "Stay with me, Jake. Please," she begged, her words slipping out in a desperate whisper. She caught Liam's eye. The concern on his face echoed her own rising panic. It was uncharted territory to have both of them near her, and the reality felt surreal and overwhelming. "Let's get him on the stretcher," one of the paramedics said, motioning for them to clear the way. Emily reluctantly let go of Jake to allow the paramedics to do their work, but it felt like losing a piece of her heart. He was still conscious, but the flicker of recognition in his eyes told her he was fighting to hold on. Jake croaked once more, his hand reaching out for her as they pulled him away. Her breath caught in her throat. "I'm right here," she replied, her own voice cracking. The frantic energy of the diner felt like a heavy blanket suffocating her. She felt lightheaded, reality swirling like the remnants of disturbing dreams. As they placed him onto the stretcher, panic set in around her. What if he doesn't wake up? What if this is it? A storm of emotions roared inside her, dragging her thoughts to the memories that haunted her. The last time she'd seen Jake, the horror that unfolded, the grief that had settled over her life afterward. "Stop it!" Liam's voice broke through her chaos, pulling her back. He stood close, a sense of calm radiating from him. "You have to be strong for him. He can feel you. Just talk to him." "Jake, I'm right here. You're safe now," she repeated, trying to keep her voice steady despite her fluttering heart. The paramedics worked quickly, checking his vitals while coordinating the crowd for space. Liam remained by her side, his presence a grounding force. Yet he too seemed trapped in a web of confusion and disbelief. "I'm not going anywhere," Jake murmured, though his voice sounded distant, almost fading. I don't want to lose you again." "What do you mean?" Emily squeezed his shoulder gently. It felt like they were skirting around truths that hung between them, heavy and unresolved. The last time he had left, circumstances had snatched them apart. Had he been more affected than she realized? "Just hold on. We're going to the hospital and they'll help you," she said quickly, urgency cutting through every syllable. He blinked slowly, so focused on her that the noise around them faded. "You mean a lot to me. I always thought you would come back." The rawness of his words squeezed her heart. She could feel the collective breath of the crowd holding it in suspense, watching her with wide eyes. Their concerns were palpable, but for Emily there was only Jake. "I'm here now. We'll talk. We'll figure things out," she promised, as much for him as for herself. She needed him to believe in her words, to believe this moment could be the beginning of something new, instead of another painful end. But as they loaded him into the ambulance, the weight of their past pressed down on her. Too many unfinished conversations and unspoken apologies lingered in the air. She looked back at Liam, catching the flicker of jealousy and confusion etched in his features. He started, but the doors of the ambulance slid shut before he could finish. The sirens wailed once more as they pulled out from the diner, lights flashing ominously against the night sky. Emily's heart sputtered. What was she walking back into? Was she ready to confront the feelings she'd buried, or was she opening old wounds that had never truly healed? With every mile that passed, she felt the echo of that lost laughter mingling with the flickering hope swelling in her chest. As they arrived at the hospital, a million questions raced through her mind. Would Jake survive this? And what would it mean for both of them when he did? The uncertainty loomed, heavy and unresolved, filling the air with anticipation. In that moment, she realized she still had a choice to make, and the gravity of it weighed on her more than ever. What if this chance could reshape not only their past, but their future as well? The ambulance door swung open, and the rush of cool air hit Emily's face like a wake-up call. She blinked against the sudden brightness of the hospital lights, her heart pounding in her chest. She was in a whirlwind of chaos and urgency once again, but this time she felt far more alone. "Over here!" A nurse waved them into the emergency room. The paramedics unloaded Jake and rushed him past her, their voices blending into a fierce hum of authority and concern. Emily hesitated, her feet glued to the floor as she struggled to come to grips with the reality of the situation. Jake, the boy she once thought she lost forever, lay vulnerable on that stretcher, and all she wanted was to reach out and comfort him. "Emily." A gentle hand on her arm jolted her back. It was Liam, his face a mixture of sympathy and determination. "We have to stay with him." "Right," she whispered, sniffling as she forced her legs to follow him into the chaos. They entered a small waiting area, and both of them stepped back as medical staff worked swiftly, tubes and monitors beeping in relentless rhythm. "Is he going to be okay?" She turned her eyes to Liam, fear pulsing through her like a drum. He took a deep breath, his eyes locked on the emergency room doors. "They'll do everything they can. But we can't just sit here worrying. We should be there for him. He'll need us." With a minute's hesitation, she nodded. The uncertainty felt heavy, but she needed to focus on Jake. The longer they were apart, the more she feared he would slip away, leaving them with nothing but unanswered questions. They hovered near the entrance, waiting like shadows, each passing second a reminder of how fragile life could be. Moments stretched as doctors and nurses moved in and out, their brisk movements full of purpose. Emily finally caught a glimpse of a doctor emerging from the room. He's stable for now, the doctor said, his expression serious but not devoid of hope. We need to monitor him closely. You can see him, but only for a few minutes, and I need to remind you to remain calm. Emily's heart soared slightly at the word stable. She should have felt relief, but as she followed the doctor into the room, dread knotted her stomach. Jake lay on the hospital bed, wires snaking around him and machines humming softly. His face was still pale, but his eyes flitted open at the sound of her footsteps. "Em," he whispered, a shaky smile breaking through the haze of pain. "You came?" "I'm not going anywhere, Jake, I promise," she said, stepping forward, her heart racing in awe of his presence. Did I scare you?" He chuckled weakly, trying to lighten the atmosphere, but the humor fell flat against the gravity of the moment. "No, don't talk like that. Just focus on getting better." She took his hand, feeling the warmth with every pulse of her heartbeat. "Why'd you come back?" he asked, his gaze piercing hers. After all this time, the question hung in the air, electric and raw. It was a moment suspended in time, one where the weight of unspoken history threatened to crush her. Because she hesitated, unearthing emotions she thought she had buried. "Because I couldn't keep pretending you didn't matter to me. You've always mattered, Jake." His expression softened, a vulnerability she hadn't seen in years flickering in his eyes. I thought you were gone for good." "I thought I was, too." Tears brimmed in her eyes, the heaviness of lost time settling between them like an anchor. "But I'm here now. I want to understand. We can work through it." He squeezed her hand gently, his eyes locked onto hers. Just as hope ignited within her, the moment was shattered as a nurse stepped in urgently. "We need to run some tests. I'm sorry, but you'll have to wait outside," she instructed gently, but with a firm tone that could not be ignored. Emily nodded, feeling her heart clench painfully as she reluctantly released Jake's hand. "I'll be right here," she promised, backing away, her eyes never leaving him. But as she stepped into the waiting area, the shadows of doubt crept back in, reminding her of the weight and complexity of their past. "What's next?" Liam's concerned eyes met hers. Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing. "We need to talk. About everything. After this." As they waited in the sterile hallway, the storm inside her brewed more fiercely than the external chaos. The choices she had to make loomed ahead, threatening to change them both in ways she couldn't comprehend. Could they really mend what was broken? And if they did, what would that mean for her and Liam? She had so many choices to make, and each one risked fracturing the delicate balance they had just begun to rebuild. The hours dragged on as Emily paced through the hospital waiting area, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and the voices of other anxious families melding into a droning hum. Liam remained close beside her, offering a quiet presence, but it felt like they were worlds apart. With every tick of the clock, she battled an internal tempest. Her heart tugged in two separate directions, caught between past affections and present realities. "Do you want to talk about it?" Liam finally asked, breaking the silence like a fragile glass shattering. Emily shook her head, unable to articulate the whirlwind inside her. "I can't think right now." How could she even begin to explain the emotions tangled up inside her, each more painful than the last? The history with Jake clashed fiercely with the budding connection she had formed with Liam, each leading her down a different path. Minutes felt like an eternity, but finally the ER doors swung open. A doctor stepped out, and Emily's heart leaped into her throat. She caught the way he narrowed his gaze, assessing the two of them standing there. "Jake is stable, but he's going to need some time to recover," the doctor said, his tone both professional and reassuring. "He's awake and alert, which is a good sign, but the next few hours will be crucial. You can see him now." "Thank you," Emily breathed, relief washing over her. As she entered the room, she found Jake awake, staring up at the ceiling with a look of dazed relief. Her heart swelled. "Hey there," she whispered, stepping closer. "You gave us quite a scare." "Me?" Jake chuckled weakly, the spirit of their old banter poking through the layers of uncertainty. "You should see the other guy." Well, there isn't one." She allowed herself a smile, the warmth of familiarity radiating through the chilly hospital room. "I'm just glad you're okay." She reached for his hand, wishing to bridge the gulf that had opened between them for so long. "Emily, I wanted to apologize for everything. I didn't want you to see me like this," he murmured, his eyes clouding with genuine regret. "I'm not here to point fingers," she replied gently, squeezing his hand. "I just want to understand where we left off." His gaze pierced into hers, searching as if he were mining her heart for answers. "We left off at a bad time, Em. I forced you to part ways, and I didn't take the chance to explain. That's the thing. We never had the chance to process it, did we?" Emily interrupted, her voice thick with emotion. "I needed you then, but you chose to leave." "It was a dumb choice," Jake admitted, a shadow spreading across his face. "I was scared and I thought disappearing would fix it. It didn't. I just lost the best part of my life." He paused, weighing his next words carefully. "I know it's more complicated now, but I would really like us to talk about it." She hesitated, feeling her heartstrings tugged by the weight of his words. This moment felt like standing at the precipice of a cliff, ready to plunge into something profound yet terrifying. "I don't know where to start." "Just start with being honest," he offered, his face softening. "What do you need?" Emily took a breath, ready to unveil the tangled mess of her heart. "I want to know why you left." But before she could express her fears further, the room unexpectedly brightened with the sound of laughter. The door opened, and there stood Lily, her little legs carrying her with delightful haste, closely followed by Janet. "Mom!" Lily exclaimed, her eyes shimmering as she sprinted toward Emily. Emily scooped her daughter up into her arms, the innocent joy washing away the tumultuous tension that had built around her. "Hey, sweet girl, I'm so glad to see you," she said, burying her face in Lily's curls. The embrace brought a radiant smile to her heart. "Is he okay?" Lily asked, pointing to Jake, her innocent worry piercing right through Emily's thoughts. "Just a little bump, honey. He'll be fine," Emily assured her, and then she looked back at Jake, drawing courage from the light Lily brought into her life. As Jake listened, his eyes softened further, the genuine admiration for Lily shimmering in their depths. "Hi there," he said gently to Lily, who stepped back to observe him. "Are you a superhero?" she asked, tilting her head to the side with innocent curiosity. Emily chuckled at her daughter's imaginative spirit. "He's my friend, and he needs to rest for a little while, but he'll be back on his feet soon." Jake smiled, his heart visibly swelling. "You're so brave. You'll be my superhero friend too?" Lily's radiant face brightened with excitement. Yes, I'll bring you cookies once you get out of here." Emily felt the disconnected pieces of her life suddenly begin to align, tracing a path to healing. In this moment, surrounded by love and hope, she realized there was room for Jake to find his way back. and for Liam to play his role in this redefined tapestry of her life. "Sweetheart," Emily finally said, looking into Jake's eyes again. "There's so much I want to say, so many things unsaid. But let's start here, in this moment, just being together." "Absolutely," Jake replied, feeling a newfound sense of purpose ignite between them. And though the road ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty, Emily felt ready to navigate it together. Later that evening, Emily stood at the diner as the last of the customers trickled out, the familiar sense of coffee and home-cooked meals wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "Thanks for today," Liam said quietly, pouring coffee into a mug for her. "You did great." "Yeah? Just trying to keep it together," she said, her voice sugar-coated but her heart still dancing with confusion and hope. "You've gotten stronger through everything," he continued, searching her eyes for understanding. "I just want you to know I'm here to support you no matter what." "Thank you," she murmured, her heart swelling with warmth. They shared a moment, each wrapping themselves in the promise of newfound possibilities. Yes, life was unpredictable, but maybe uncertainty led to growth, just like a wildflower blooming in the cracks of concrete. As the diner dimmed and the comforting sounds of the night surrounded them, Emily knew that she wouldn't have to face her journey alone anymore. Each decision ahead, every moment of healing, could intertwine those she cared about, even if the path was winding. She felt the heartbeat of her little town, the love of family, friends, and possibilities. With every twinkling light just outside the diner window, revelation washed over her. She could embrace this unexpected journey, forging ahead with both old friends and new adventures awaiting her. This love, this life, was finally feeling like home. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below, and don't wait. Not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Every action counts, and only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.